We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest event of all time.
Good news for the sport.
Welcome to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are in episode 11 of our season 4, John, and it's going to be a great show. We have Danny Warrington coming on and the great Austin OConnor. We have results from Mill Street. We had a local show out here, Ocala Horse Trials, to talk about. We have a wedding we can talk about. So let's get into it. Do you want to start with Mill Street?
Yeah, I think Mill Street's kind of the big one this weekend, right? So, and we get to talk to Austin a little bit about it in the next segment anyway. So Mill Street went on. I think the big news, sort of aside from the 4-star, was obviously they had that 3-star long team competition, which gave Olympic qualifications, right, to 2 countries.
Right.
So who was it again that got it?
Australia won the gold, and China was silver, which was I think a shock. I think a lot of people thought Japan would sneak in there for the silver. So Japan didn't get into the Olympics. I think they get to send individuals, but China and Australia have secured a spot at the Olympics.
Right. And I don't know, there might be some other ways for countries to get qualified going forward, because we still have a little bit of time, right?
Yeah, there's some time. I think they do FEI points, something like that. But a lot of people, John, are talking about why a 3-star long was used for selections for the Pan Ams. And, as time has gone on, not Pan Ams, for the Olympics, the Pan Ams here are also 3-star, and we have used that as a catapult for the United States. Thank goodness we were at the World Championships and we're silver. So just the changing of levels are happening where, that happens.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? Because we got our Olympic qualification at the World Championships, that actually helps out the other countries competing at the Pan American Games, because it's the top placed country that isn't already Olympic qualified. So it used to be the last couple of Pan Ams, when we didn't get our qualifier done, that we had to go there and win the Pan Ams to go. Now we don't have to win, but if we do win,
we don't knock somebody out.
That second place country, whether that's Canada or Mexico or whoever, they still have a chance to get their Olympic qualification. So it's interesting stuff for sure. And I think it has so much to do with the Olympic Games wanting more countries, more flags in the competition. And, we can debate that forever. But that's the way it is. They want more countries. So you get more opportunities for those countries to qualify.
I agree. So Mill Street, go. Piggy French, I think, won.
Piggy March. We got a couple of these today where we have to make sure it's Piggy March. And I didn't get to watch. Did you watch any Mill Street? I'm a terrible person.
Wasn't able to watch any Mill Street. No, which is unusual. We usually do.
Yeah. So bummer.
Gemma Stevens second.
Yep. And then, was that Muzi Pottinger? And then who I have watched, another guy who I've watched ride a bunch, and I think a lot of, is the Kazuma Tomoto. I don't know him, but I've watched him ride enough times, and he's pretty dang good.
He's pretty good, isn't he?
The other cool thing that just happened was they did just officially announce the Nations Cup team for Poland.
Right.
So there we've got Jenny Karras on Trendy Fernhill. We've got Andrew McConnon on Ferries. I'm assuming that's cello. Then we've got Caroline
Pamucha.
Pikachu. Caroline Pikachu.
Caroline, you got to help us out with your last name.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Caroline. You're going to be Pikachu.
And Dennis, I apologize. I've known you forever. I can't say your last name. That's bad.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's Pikachu. I choose you. Pikachu, I choose you. And then Cassie Sanger on Fernhill Zorro. So
that's awesome.
It's a cool team. It's a young team. I know they get to go over there. And then I think all of them are part of the developing rider tour as well. And so it's really kind of cool. They go over, they do that competition. They spend a week down in Aachen watching those guys. And then maybe they go to Poland. I don't know. There's 2 competitions for them to do. And they get to spend some time at Aachen sort of watching the
Yep,
other guys
I think
compete
the
as
other
well.
Nations Cup is in Paris. So I don't know if that same team's doing the Paris, or they call it the European Tour. So I think it's Poland. And then, like you said, they go to Aachen and then they do something else. And then they have Paris Nation Cup they haven't named.
Yeah, I don't know for sure about that. I didn't, but I know they get two competitions while they're over there, and they get to spend some time at Aachen, which is pretty cool.
That is
So
cool.
yeah.
Then we had locally, we had the Ocala horse trials. It went as a 1 day, so it was a busy day for everybody.
Yep.
I saw that you had the great Max grooming for you. That's nice. How did that go?
Max is amazing. I didn't have to do anything.
It was her birthday too.
It was her birthday.
Happy birthday, Max.
I showed up, I said happy birthday, and then she got my horses ready, and I just got on a horse every 45 minutes from 8 a.m. until 3 o'clock, and I was done.
Great. How did
It was
you
great. I did well, and I have to say, shout out to, oh my gosh, why am I gapping here? Hold on, wait for me. Wait for it. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I know it's going to be here.
It's coming right now.
Yep.
Shout out to Jumpstart IV, and I know her as Stacy, but Jumpstart IV, who is a sponsor here on the show as well. I got my IV done on, I guess it was actually Thursday, because I was so sure it was going to be hot because we're in Ocala.
Right.
So I got my IV done while I was teaching lessons here at the farm. And I have to say, normally when I get done with a 1 day horse show with that many horses running, I feel like I'm train wrecked the next day. And I felt great. I had an awesome day on Sunday. I got through the day on Saturday, stayed hydrated and focused. The only problem was I also drank lots of water and Gatorade. So between every horse, I would learn the new dressage test and then go to the bathroom and then get back on the next horse. So I was possibly overly hydrated.
Well, I can tell you, I should have done that too. I wrote only 2. I didn't have as many as you did, but I had young ones. And so,
yeah,
I had a 6-year-old that was her second event. She did great in the novice. She ended up 5th. And then I had a thoroughbred that was going really well. And he was the last one of the day and it was hot. And I got to about fence 8 and the thing was.
Oh, did we lose Rick? Well, what he was going to say is the thing was wild, and he should have gotten Jumpstart IV to get him all the fluids so that he was hydrated and ready to go. So I'm going to make sure that Rick gets that done the next time. He's going to get a hold of Stacy and Jumpstart IV therapy and get all those fluids so that he feels like $1 million. So with that said, guys, we are going to take a break, and we are going to be right back with the one and only Austin OConnor, fresh off of Mill Street, and he's going to tell us all about his amazing run at Badminton, where he finished in 3rd place. And so we're going to just take a break here. We're going to check in with our sponsors. Hey guys, also make sure that you do check in with us on YouTube and all of your podcast players. Give us likes, give us reviews. All of that stuff really helps. All of the different social media platforms. It's a really important thing to do to help the show. We really appreciate you guys. And we will be right back with Austin OConnor. Want to advertise on the John and Rick Show? Contact John at 352-875-8622
or call Rick at 850-879-2649.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Hey, it's John here. I just want to let you guys know I got back from schooling at Magnolia Sands Farm here in Ocala, Florida. Their cross-country field is perfectly suited for a first outing on a young horse or schooling your upper-level horse. Magnolia Sands offers over 110 jumps ranging from starter to intermediate, plus multiple banks, ditches, and waters. They're constantly updating their courses and have even added new ditches and a starter ditch wall. Conveniently located in Northeast Ocala, Magnolia Sands has made it easy for riders and trainers with online waivers, Venmo, and PayPal, and even offer a golf cart for guests. MagnoliaSandsFarm.com.
Equibrew, now available in the USA. It's a live probiotic that you feed daily to your horses. The live microbes go into your horse's gut and cleans up the gut wall, creating a healthy gut system.
Equibrew is an essential part of my feeding program. My horses love to eat it, and it does a really good job of promoting gut health and also good behavior and great performances.
It's something I recommend for all of your horses, no matter what they do in their careers.
It's so affordable, I can use it on all of my horses in the barn, not just my top horses.
Order Equibrew today by going to brickfieldnutrition.com or calling 850-879-2649.
Welcome back to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros, and we are here in our Equibrew segment. If you guys haven't yet tried out Equibrew, you really should. It is amazing. I've got all of my horses on it. It's a live probiotic. It's super easy to give. You just dump it into your feed, and the horses love the taste of it. They eat everything, which is super nice. I love it when you give them supplements that they actually eat, Rick, and it just makes them generally healthier, feel better, their guts feel better, their coats look better. And I even have one or two that their personalities are a little more friendly, which is nice because, you know, they don't pin their ears and try to bite me, which I appreciate. So good job, Equibrew, and thanks you for sponsoring the segment. We are super excited because we are here with what I would say was the cross-country round of the year at Badminton this year. We've got the one and only Austin OConnor. Austin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Rick.
So just tell us your, sorry, Rick.
I kudo your sentiments on that round. It was amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
it was.
Thank you very much. That's pretty flattering. But,
It was great because it honestly, it was like, oh man, this is going to be a rough day. This is like, looks like almost unjumpable out there. And then you came out on your amazing horse and just smoked it. Like you made it look like child's play. And I thought, okay, well, apparently it's not nearly as difficult as I thought. So you had Colorado Blue there. And before you even get into like badminton, what I thought I'd love to hear is I'd love to hear about this horse because I did a little bit of math and went back and looked through this horse's records. You've done 83 events on this horse since you got him as a 5-year-old. In those 83 events, you've only had 6 events with a penalty. It's incredible. It's an incredible record.
Wow.
This must be one incredible horse. So just take us back a little bit and just tell us about how you got this horse in his story.
yeah, well, staying with your opening point, I'm sure if he made 6 mistakes in his life, it was all my fault anyway. So I'll take responsibility for that. We bred this horse in partnership with Kate Jarvie, so we've had him from day one, which is even more exciting and adds to the story. And the way the breeding program runs or ran is that the geldings get sold and the mares get retained. But in this instance, I really liked him as a 4-year-old, and I was very lucky to put a syndicate together and retain him.
That's, I mean, absolutely. It seems to me that some of the most success that you see at the top level are horses that have been methodically produced from the beginning. You just know them so well. So when you went out there and you sort of walked around that course at Badminton, obviously the big sort of story of the weekend was the weather, really of the whole spring season, pardon me, but the whole spring season was the weather. So sort of what was your plan heading out on cross country?
I was very, very open-minded. I've made no secret for many years now. The horse is an airplane, in my opinion. He's been the best cross-country horse in the world for certainly one of them for the last few years, since pre-Tokyo.
Yep.
Ironically, being in the UK for these 83 events, so I like that one. He'd never actually run on wet ground.
Wow.
So, global warming and all of that. So look, I knew it had a very, very good horse. I knew with the conditions, even though I had never really experienced him with him, he was the only one I would want to have left the start box up with that day. And the true professional he is, he just glided. He just glided over the top of it, made it very, very easy. But at the same time, if he wasn't traveling or if he was suddenly a different Colorado Blue, I would have taken no hesitation in saying, look, this isn't our day. There's other days. But I knew after the first 2 minutes, he was the machine that he always is. So we just kept going.
And did you wear a watch out there?
Yeah, I wore a watch, but I'd like to think I rode up my backside more than my watch.
Right.
I didn't pay a whole pile of attention to it. I started getting a bit excited, maybe 7-8 minutes when I knew I still had plenty in the tank. So no, I mean the first 7 or 8 minutes, it was just, naturally I'd seen was early enough to go and I'd seen enough problems. And as I say, it was going into the unknown. Like in Badminton, 12 months ago was top of the ground, and I left the start box like a bat out of hell because I was, convinced there was never going to be an issue. This time it was a very new experience, so we just had to feel our way.
Yeah, well, and obviously you did incredibly well, and you improved on that 8th place finish from a year ago, which was an incredible finish, and finished in 3rd. So with that said, Rick, what do you got?
Well, Austin, I watched her go, and obviously the topic of conversations has been and was the footing and the conditions. A lot of hindsight's been given at Badminton that they should have shortened the course, or they should have done this or should have done that. What are your insights for that? Do you feel like the course was set like it should be and you should ride your horse accordingly?
Absolutely. I think, and certain, English and Americans and many people will disagree. Ultimately, it's a 5-star competition. It's eventing. It's an outdoor sport. If it's raining in the Monaco Grand Prix, they don't stop it, do they?
No. Yeah,
change the tires, change the tactics. To me, if it was shortened, it's dumbing it down and it's destroying the sport. That would be my feeling.
I'm on the same page as you, Austin. We've had these conversations back and forth. I mean, I get a little puzzled when people are questioning Badminton and the conditions of the horses and the lead up. And I'm like, the lead up wasn't very good for a lot of these horses. They didn't have horse trials to really prepare them to get there. And, people are going, why are the horses getting tired? I'm like, well, the footing's sucking the energy out of them. And a lot of them aren't, ready to go that way.
Yeah. What I will just add to that one, people talk about footing and you see a bit of mud and you see rain flying out of the sky. Yep. It was safe. It was safe ground. I've been at horse trials this year where I haven't run horses and I wouldn't run horses. I mean, it's my opinion.
Sure.
But to me, Badminton was safe ground. And once you've got safe ground, you ride according to that.
Yeah, and John, I think Austin, I agree with you there as well. And I think John, you threw that watch debate in there. Y'all are 5-star riders, right? You ride according to what you're feeling with your horse. So I think to your point, Austin, when you came out last year a little bit different than this year, it all is according, because you're a horseman. I mean, you're going to go out there and take the course the way you feel you need to. At the end of the day, when your horse is finished, he looks still amazing. So were you psyched on how prepared you were for Badminton?
Yeah, I'd like to think I'm a pretty reserved character, but I've been pretty bullish this winter that I had him very, very ready.
Right.
Not necessarily knowing the conditions were going to be like that, but he's 14, but he's improving, he's getting stronger. Like everybody else, we missed a couple of runs as well. But I felt, from February onwards, he was ahead of the game. But and like a lot of horses, as I say, if he didn't deal with the conditions, it was going to be another day. And I was quite prepared for that.
Yeah, and I think that's the mentality that a lot of people would like a lot of riders to have, and I think it's the one to have. There's always another day, correct, John, you
Yeah.
got anything on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, just briefly here, one thing that I think is important is obviously you have the experience, right? You know what is good, safe ground and what's not. So for our listeners and our viewers, you say, you know, badminton was good, safe ground and other events were not. Can you explain to the audience what is the difference between a muddy competition like badminton where you think the ground is muddy but good and safe, and another competition where you think maybe I'm not going to have a run here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying safe ground. I'm not describing it as good ground. I'm
Okay, fair enough.
To me, safe ground is when it's consistent.
Right.
You know, if it's consistently wet, you know, they're consistently going in 3 or 4 inches everywhere. When it becomes unsafe ground, it's suddenly, you know, the one field you're on top of the ground, the next field you're going in 12 inches. Next field you're going is that inconsistency is what I would describe as
no, that makes perfect sense. Like that's a great way of explaining it.
It's just like yourself running across a field, whatever the condition, if you're used to it from the beginning, you run accordingly.
Right. No, that's perfect. Let's do this. Let's take a break. We're going to thank Equibrew again. Awesome. Thank you for sponsoring this segment, Equibrew. You guys are amazing and my horses appreciate it. And Mr. Austin OConnor will be right back after we check in with a couple of our other sponsors.
Equibrew, now available in the USA. It's a live probiotic that you feed daily to your horses. The live microbes go into your horse's gut and cleans up the gut wall, creating a healthy gut system.
Equibrew is an essential part of my feeding program. My horses love to eat it, and it does a really good job of promoting gut health and also good behavior and great performances.
It's something I recommend for all of your horses, no matter what they do in their careers.
It's so affordable, I can use it on all of my horses in the barn, not just my top horses.
Order Equibrew today by going to brickfieldnutrition.com or calling 850-879-2649.
Grant Showalter has over 15 years of equine bodywork and saddle fitting experience. His technique allows him to identify and alleviate tightness in muscles. He uses trigger point massage to release points of restriction. Grant has over a decade of experience fitting and adjusting a wide variety of saddles. His expertise in equine physiology, coupled with a thorough understanding of the importance of a properly fitted saddle, allows him to quickly identify and correct any balance issues. Grant can also adjust your saddle on site. Grant works on all of my competition horses, and I have noticed a significant improvement in their performance at competitions and their overall way of going. Grant's based in Ocala, Florida year-round, but regularly travels to the surrounding areas. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 484-639-4454.
Hi, my name's Leslie Law, and we are a proud supporter of Jump for Joy. We've been using their portable cross-country jumps now for about 10 to 15 years. We love these jumps because, as you can see, they're very easy to move. It would only take another person on the other side and I could place this fence wherever I wanted to very easily.
Welcome back to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We're still here with Austin OConnor. And Austin, we were leaving off footing at badminton and the terrific run that you had with your amazing horse, Colorado Blue. There's other debates going on the cross country before we move to your great show jump that had to do with the head of the lake and the pin of the rail going in. What was your thoughts on that?
My thoughts were it was a perfectly good fence. It was a very safe fence. 1 or 2 particular riders, to me, behaved in quite a bad way with their vocal opinion of it. And you know, it was 3 single rails, it was about 95 centimeters high into the Lake of Badminton, and it was on pins. Whatever the percentage, let's say 10%, only 10% went direct. There was one faller early on. Did he fall? Was there a faller?
I don't think
No, it didn't fall.
fell.
The
I think
pin
there was
went.
activation.
The pin saved the fall.
Yes.
So let's say 9 out of 10 horses jumped at copybook. So I don't know what the hoo-ha was all about. It was safe. It was a bit of a question. It was a little bit different. But as I say, the majority of horses that jumped it beautifully.
Can I just
I don't know
ask,
what your take is on this. But.
Yeah, no, can I just ask a question about that? This is more of a sort of a philosophical thought, and then I'll turn it back over to you again, Rick. Do you think that's because there's a resistance to frangible fences, particularly in the UK, or a not quite understanding how they activate, or a mistrust of them, or is it just that one particular fence on the day?
I think it's still, it's early stages, but look, the bottom line here, safety is paramount. I think it's still riders' lack of understanding of what it takes to take a pin. There has been some hard luck stories, and yes, I agree. You teach a horse to jump into water down a drop. The first thing you're teaching them really is to lower their back end. But the powers that be reassured us that hind leg won't activate the pin. So yeah, I think it's just it's people just having a little bit more confidence in the technology. There's no getting away from it. That's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point of a minimal amount of riders going that way, I think only one time it was activated. But those that went that way, the horses jumped in great and went across the water pretty well.
Yeah, as did yours.
Yes, definitely yours.
Yeah, but the one time it was activated, it saved quite a nasty fall. I think that's the bottom line here.
Yeah, I agree. So hey, Austin, you had a great go. Obviously time wasn't made, and that was the way things go. So, sometimes it just doesn't get made, and that's because of the conditions. But you got done and you got prepared for that night to get your horse ready for the next day. What did he look like? How was he in the barn? And how was your preps for the next day?
No, luckily there was he finished, as you saw, he finished very fresh. We gave him plenty of attention, looked after him best we could, but there was nothing out of the ordinary. He was his usual perky self, trotted up beautifully on a Sunday, and actually, got a little bit unlucky in the show jumping, perhaps, but that's show jumping. But
so go through that with us. Take us through the show jump. Tell us your thoughts and how that went.
Yeah, look, it's always the final day is always a bit of a tough day, and it's very small margins. He was jumping a great round. For whatever reason, we just got a touch too low, jumping into the last double, and that probably slightly rattled him. So we had both parts, but he finished his round well over the last. He could equally have jumped a clear round, but show jumping. I could have had another cheap rail somewhere else, and I wouldn't have been on the podium. So.
Yeah, it's hard to be disappointed with a third place at Badminton, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty good result, regardless of two unlucky rails, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
So do you have plans for him going into the rest of the season? Do you have something targeted, or are you going to lay low? What's the plan?
Well, the plan is, I'll have a meeting with his owners in the next few days, and I'll have a meeting with our performance manager, Dag Albert, and it's really either Burley or the European Championships, so we've got to all discuss that, but all going well, it'll be one of the two competitions.
Right. Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to see what that's going to be. The other thing I wanted to ask about is, looking through here, you do have what looks to be a pretty exciting mare going as well. Do you want to tell us anything about her? How do you say her name? Isaza?
Isaza, yes, she's literally, we just arrived back from Mill Street today, so she jumped around her first 4-star long yesterday.
Wow.
Which is really exciting. Yeah.
Yep.
She's the lovely Dutch bred mare by Zaval. Very, very different to Colorado Blue, who's 80% thoroughbred. But she's a lovely mare and very exciting, and she'll hopefully go to Buccalo, Blenheim or Buccalo in the autumn.
Right.
And hopefully won't be too far away from selection next year.
Yeah, it's exciting when you've got one like Colorado Blue and then a mare like that coming up right behind her. So no signs of slowing down. Was it good to get to go home to Mill Street?
Oh, it was great. It's a fantastic event. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but to me it's on par with Kentucky nowadays.
Is it really? I've heard only good things. I haven't been myself, but
yeah,
all my American friends that have gone say it's awesome.
It's amazing. The Mike Etherington Smith designs cross country course. You know you wouldn't get a location like it in the world. It's rural Ireland, but it's just turning into one of the best.
That's cool, and congratulations on that finish. With that actually made me think of something here, which maybe this is totally random, more of a selfish question for America than anything. So we're running into an issue over here where some of our top designers are getting ready to step down. So I know, like, I think Mark is getting ready to retire. I'm pretty sure actually Ian, I say our designers, they're actually British designers, but the top 5-star designers are starting to get to the age where they want to do some other stuff with their lives. You know, I know Mike ES is still going, but he sort of keeps talking about not wanting to do it as much anymore. So who do you think are going to be the next guys coming up? Do you see them over there?
Well, sure. Obviously, your man is one of the best in the world, and he's going strong, Derek.
Yep.
That's and I guess, you know, Eric Winter to me has been doing a very, very good job at Badminton for a number of years now.
Yep.
No
hot shots coming up behind there. Like I guess that's what I'm wondering is, like, we've got those two guys, which you can't argue they are incredible. But I'm just sitting here wondering, like, who are going to be the guys to step up and take.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a problem. You're right. I mean, there is a good course designer system in the UK trying to bring on people in that, but how successful it is at the moment, I'm not so sure.
Well, it's so hard to know until they get a big track, isn't it? Like, we've got some very good designers here sort of designing 3 and 4 stars, but until you give them a 4 long or a 5-star, it's hard to know what they actually going to put out there.
It's getting that opportunity and having the confidence. But, you know, looking at the likes of Mark and Mike and these, they retire in the quota retirement and go back in, and they're back again anyway. So they'll probably never retire.
Probably true.
They're like a good event horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
I was one thing about Mill Street is I understand they had the one of the division, the 3-star long, used as a qualifier for the Olympics. So I know Australia got qualified, and I think China. So was that like a big draw over there for Mill Street when that was going on, or is that just part of the regular?
It was actually a massive draw because it's obviously a 3-star level,
right,
as opposed to the 4-star level, which I couldn't quite get my head around.
Yeah.
Now they obviously have to have their full qualifications and their 4 stars individually and everything for an Olympic Games. But no, it drew a lot of attention, and it was actually very, very exciting.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Austin, about where you couldn't wrap your brain around it, and I think it's been some conversation. I think the question was, why were they using a 3 long for qualification for the Olympics? And John, you might be able to pipe in a little bit. And I know for the Pan Am Games, which is our North America and South America championships, it is a 3-star as well. So, you know, back in the day, I think when the Olympics was a 5-star, or back in the day, it was like a 4-star down to a 3-star. Now it's 5 down to a 4.
Yep.
I don't know, John, do you think that's why these qualifications have dropped down to the 3-star for an Olympic spot?
Well, this is going to take us a while, but I will say this. I think there's no question the reason that it's a 3-star is because they're trying to get more flags.
Right.
Yeah, but the positive, you know, from being slightly negative about it, it turned into a very, very exciting competition.
That's good.
Well, and as you said, Austin, then they still have to qualify, right? Even though the nation's qualified, the riders still have to qualify. And
yeah,
so
and
going to get people ready for the level.
All those riders, you could see it was a completely different pressure. the Chinese weren't fancy to take a spot over the Japanese, and they did, and it turned out to be very exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I know there's been a lot of debate, so I was wondering how that went. So it's good to hear that it had a lot of excitement there. So
yeah,
good for Mill Street.
Great.
And leave it to the Irishmen to want the 5-star to be the qualifier for the Olympics. Keep it cross country, man.
I don't know about that.
All right. Listen, Austin, we really appreciate you taking the time to do this. You were a champ when I contacted you and said yes right away. So thank you so much. We'll be watching you and cheering you on the rest of the year, whether that's at the championships or Burley or wherever you end up with Colorado Blue. I'm sure you're going to be smoking that cross country course. So good luck, and sincerely thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, and hopefully we'll see you guys over there sometime.
Absolutely. And for the rest of the audience, we are going to be right back with Danny Warrington of Landsafe. So we're going to get to talk to Danny and probably talk about some horses, probably some fishing too. So hang tight and we'll be right back.
When I'm in the middle of my competition season, it's easy to get behind in my hydration or just feel exhausted. When that happens, I turn to Jumpstart IV Therapy. Jumpstart IV Therapy is a mobile therapy serving the state of Florida. Their team of healthcare professionals are there to help the equestrian athlete feel their best so they can perform their best. Their IV treatment of fluids, vitamins, minerals, and medicines will give you an exclusive advantage on and off your horse. Give them a call at 407-449-0532 or find them on the web at jumpstartivtherapy.com.
Jump for Joy fences are easy to move, lightweight, durable, and low maintenance. So we're out here on the cross country. We just finished over in the show jumping over the Jump for Joy fences. Had a great time schooling over them. They're really nice and easy to move, so we were able to adjust some things and really have the exact school that we needed thanks to the Jump for Joy fences. I love them.
Order yours at jumpforjoyusa.com.
Hey, it's John here. I just want to let you guys know I got back from schooling at Magnolia Sands Farm here in Ocala, Florida. Their cross-country field is perfectly suited for a first outing on a young horse or schooling your upper-level horse. Magnolia Sands offers over 110 jumps ranging from starter to intermediate, plus multiple banks, ditches, and waters. They're constantly updating their courses and have even added new ditches and a starter ditch wall. Conveniently located in Northeast Ocala, Magnolia Sands has made it easy for riders and trainers with online waivers, Venmo, and PayPal, and even offer a golf cart for guests. MagnoliaSandsFarm.com.
Welcome back to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros, and we're really excited because we're joined by our longtime friend, Danny Warrington. Danny, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad we could fit it in. Last time you guys were going to have me on I got bumped by this guy, William Foxpitt, I think.
Yeah. I figured you'd be understanding.
Yeah, if you're going to get bumped by somebody, I think that's okay. We'll make that work. Yeah.
Actually, funny story. You're the first guy we've ever bumped.
Yeah. That's all right. Well, I got bumped well. It's okay.
Yeah. It seemed like I think he'll understand.
Yeah. If you were a jockey and you got bumped off by like Edgar Prado, you'd go, oh, all right, I got it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just to make sure everybody's up to speed, obviously, I'm sure everyone listening knows exactly who you are, but Danny is a former steeplechase jockey and then an advanced level 5-star event rider and trainer. And now he's all of that plus like a world-renowned fisherman and sushi eater.
Sushi guru.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, what I was like, that's what we're talking about, fishing. So today the current was running from the south. We were out about 30 miles. Lots of birds, lots of wait, wrong show. Sorry.
There you go. Yeah, so Danny's got great work in his Landsafe company. And so Danny, I think that's one of the main thrusts for really having you on and talking about a lot of things, but the wealth of knowledge that you're starting to provide to riders for falls and your statistics that come out there, we're really thankful for what you're doing for us event riders and riders in general. But tell us about Landsafe and how that got started and where you are.
Yeah. So I think how we got started was when there was a pretty bad fall a couple years ago. John and I witnessed at Kentucky, and on the way home, I actually drew out this sort of penciled sketch of what I think could be different and why people don't react sort of the way that they do. And that was in 2008. And sort of I kept riding and kept riding and couldn't really do much with it because it took a lot of research of falls. And actually one session had gotten so, I was into it from like, I don't know, September until February, and the spring came out, I had to bump on my horses down a couple levels because every horse I looked at was going to fall, because all I did was watch videos after video of fall after fall after fall, studying this whole thing, you know. And I worked with a guy called Mike Pilato, and we sort of put this stuff together. And then I met a guy from Australia, Lindsay Nyland, who's was a gymnastics coach, is again now working on the gymnastics program. He's doing a study about air vests, about rider training, fall safety through the FEI, through University of Sydney. And it's all sort of come together, and not just so sort of a wild thought now, like it's a true, like this all of this stuff exists. And so we built the machine, built the program, and you know, sort of all of a sudden here we are 6 years later. And I mean, I will say this, the next 7, I think six clinics, Kelly just said, are full with wait lists. So, you know, that part of the program is good. Getting people to understand what it is and what it does is, you know, basically we just teach you how to defend. It's a self-defense course on horsemanship, really. Like, you know, there are things you need to do, and, you know, you would be surprised. We ask every clinic, I ask a question: who's heard "don't stick your arms out when you fall"? And everybody raises their hand, right? Because everybody's heard "don't stick your arms out when you fall." But if you don't do that, you don't decelerate head impact. And if you don't decelerate head impact, you have TBI, neck injury, spine injury, right? So it's a pretty basic sort of concept. But when the thought is, if I stick my arm out, I'll break it, that's a really bad thought, because we'd rather you break your arm than not. Having said that, I've had thousands of falls, hundreds of falls, high speed, low speed. I've never broken an arm, right? I've broken every finger on both hands, but but never an arm, right? Never a wrist. My hands are a mess. So, but I'll trade that for a spine, neck injury any day, right? And so, you know, when we looked at a lot of these videos, a lot of what was going on, and I'm not talking about falling off and bumping your butt, right? You guys understand that. I know John went through the program. He understands. I'm not talking about falling off and breaking a collarbone or breaking your butt. I'm talking about not getting round and landing in a bad spot and not getting away and not being aware of the situation that's going on with no education. So it sort of gives you this step-by-step program, and all we did was take that 500 milliseconds of the average fall time to 750. So we slowed that down, and we just talk you through it. Get your hands out, get your chin to your chest, get round, roll. You know, and it's pretty basic, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know what to do in that moment because they've never even talked through it, right? And I know I've talked to John a lot about it, but you know, we don't even talk about what to do if a horse, the signs of a heart attack, or if a horse breaks down, or if a horse has a seizure. You know, we live in this world of, we're not going to talk about the bad things. And what I said is, I think we need to talk about the bad things so that we know how to deal with them, and then they're not so bad. You know, we don't talk about it, then we're not educated, and then myths and legends and all that crap starts, and then it's a problem.
Right. Yeah. Say, you know, Danny, and I have not been through your program, I can say that, but I can tell you I was an elite gymnast when I was young, and I do know the coordination skills that I think you were way on the right track when you enlisted a gymnastic coach into it, because a lot of people don't go through that gymnastic where they know where they are in the air. Divers, gymnasts, you know, they do have the skill of knowing where they are, but most riders don't have diving skills, nor do they have gymnastic skills. So, you know, I'm lucky that I do know where I am when I do full twists and, you know, all that stuff, but I can only imagine that the skill that they don't have is implemented by the teaching that you're doing. So I think kudos to you for doing that, because people just don't know how to even dive and roll. So even teaching that on the ground format of your program is pretty cool. So I appreciate that you're doing that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And absolutely, gymnasts, we have a lot of like military, people that have come through, police officers. Like we have a long array. And the people that stand out are people that do martial arts, right? You're like, well, you're fine. You could almost just give them a checkbox and say, go ahead. You don't really like, this isn't, you don't really, they're aware, they have a good frame. They know how to get their chin to their chest. They know how to absorb a hit. Even in like lacrosse, they talk about soaking a hit. When you're going to get checked, how do you take that impact? This is a serious sport with serious implications of hits, right? You get hit. The problem is in your eventing show jumping world, you don't get hit enough. In the racing world, we get hit all the time, right? And so there is that. And so you grow up a little differently that way, fox hunting in Ireland, or you grow up differently, sort of rough and tumble in the country, riding dirt bikes and things like that. You don't grow up so rough and tumble maybe in this world, right? And maybe the equestrian world, you're not quite so streetwise, right? And so you don't have a lot of self-defense skills.
Makes sense. John, you've gone through the program. What's your input?
Yeah, well, a couple things. One, I thought it was a great idea. And I have to say, I was pretty skeptical myself of like, I think when I did it, I was early 40s. So like probably 3 years ago. And I remember thinking like, this is great, but I don't know how helpful it's going to be for me because I already have all my instincts. And I can say it was super helpful. I've definitely used it and fortunately haven't had it to where like, wow, it saved a catastrophe, but it has saved like stiff neck, banged my head, stuff like that. And it was pretty cool. I guess one of the questions I have, Danny, for you is really a pretty selfish one here is how often do we need to go back and redo this? And when are you in town?
Yeah. So yeah, we're in town. We're in town anytime you want us to come. For most people, like we're doing our West Coast tour this year. So that we leave here and go west and we end up back in Ocala at the end of January. I look at it this way. I think anybody that is coming through the program as a young rider should do it at least 3 times.
Right.
I think then after that, I think you should do it once in a while as a refresher.
Yeah.
And, I talked to a friend of mine about this and I went one race season, I went 64 race rides without a fall. That's an extremely high number, right? Usually it's somewhere around 1 in 16, right? But I went 64 rides. I can tell you that I didn't give that last horse a very good ride of that season because in the back of my mind, it was like, this one's coming. Right. So I also think that it's good to get on the machine if you're a 5-star rider and you haven't had a fall in a while and you've got it in the back of your mind and we go, oh, there you go. And you talk and you roll and you go, you know what? I still got it. I still know what I'm doing. And so we call those refreshers where we just get you on the mats. We just get you some rolls. We just throw you off the machine twice. And it literally, when we do refreshers for people now, it's 15 minutes on a mat and off you go. And you're happy and you're like, man, I still got it. I know. Mark Grandy is one that's done that a couple of times now. He's like, man, I hadn't had a fall in a while. Can I fall off it? Last year, you had a few.
I should have fallen when I was at Kentucky. You were probably all set up there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Damn it.
No, we didn't set up at Kentucky. I can't.
Okay, good. I always try not to fall at Kentucky. It seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, that's that. We don't want to put too much in your brain, yeah.
Right. Danny, let's just take a break and then we're going to come back. I got some more questions for you about all kinds of stuff. So hang tight, everybody. And we're going to be right back with Danny Warrington.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Grant Showalter has over 15 years of equine bodywork and saddle fitting experience. His technique allows him to identify and alleviate tightness in muscles. He uses trigger point massage to release points of restriction. Grant has over a decade of experience fitting and adjusting a wide variety of saddles. His expertise in equine physiology, coupled with a thorough understanding of the importance of a properly fitted saddle, allows him to quickly identify and correct any balance issues. Grant can also adjust your saddle on site. Grant works on all of my competition horses, and I have noticed a significant improvement in their performance at competitions and their overall way of going. Grant's based in Ocala, Florida year-round, but regularly travels to the surrounding areas. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 484-639-4454.
Welcome back to the John and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We're still joined by Danny Warrington down in the Keys. Thanks for joining us, Danny. We're talking about your great company, Landsafe, and whether it's doing for riders to prepare them for what they don't want to think about, and that's a fall. So I know, John, you had some extra questions for him.
Yeah, so I think, well, before I even get into the question, one thing that you said that I think is really important, and I think it's important for so many aspects of probably all horse sports, but certainly eventing, and I would assume steeplechase, which is, personally, I think you do need to talk about the bad stuff and the things that go wrong. I think too often when I'm out teaching or walking courses or hanging out at events, nobody wants to talk about that stuff. And then, like you said, when it happens, they don't know what to do about it. So how do you deal with that? And this is maybe a bigger question than just the Landsafe program, is how do you deal with it? Because I've had students come up to me and say, I don't want to talk about it. This conversation is making me uncomfortable and I don't want to think about something happening to me or my horse. And I'm like, okay, but like, you also need to understand not only the risk, but what do you do when that happens?
Yeah, I think education is key, right? Like, I think, I think when I work on my blocks of like how I got here, one of them was like, what is safety? And there's so much to it, right? Like it's an unattainable answer, right? And so it's, a risk reduction. It's a lot of things, but really safety is education. The more you know, the safer you are, right? And so, yeah, it might be a little bit uncomfortable to know something or to talk about something, but it actually makes you safer. I swear that our program, and I said this when I started, and now we've had enough people come back and say this, our program actually makes people ride better because it removes some of the fear of the unknown. Sure. What happens if I have a rotational fall? What am I going to do? I'm going to stick my arms out. I'm going to get my chin to my chest, and I'm going to decelerate that impact. That gives you something to hold on to, right? Like that is education. I'm not what ifing anymore. If I fall, I'm going to get round. I'm going to get my chin to my chest. I'm going to bring my knees in. I'm going to try to roll. I'm trying to get away from this horse that's falling. Here's how you do an emergency dismount safely and effectively. Here's how you get away from a rear. And why would I get away from a rear? My horse never rears. Well, what if it has a seizure? What if it has a brain, right? Like you were there at Lamplight when that girl was pinned under the horse in the dressage ring for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I had it happen to me at the 4-star at Red Hills one year. Horse had an embolism on course and reared right up over.
Yeah,
you never know.
And so here you are, and you think, okay, well, my horse is perfect and he's a saint, and I bought a packer. Well, that's great, but then he has a heart attack. Then he has an embolism. Then he gets stuck. A hornet's nest drops out of a tree on him. Like there's so many things. And the problem was, as we are all old now, we've kind of seen enough.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. You're there. I see the gray. I see the buddy butt. I see it. I have to put my glasses on to see it for sure. But yep,
yeah, that's there.
Definitely great. Yep, definitely got a buddy's butt. Yep, that's where it starts.
Love that, Danny.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more question, then I'll turn it back to you, Rick, because I've been struggling with this a little bit myself, and I'm curious of what your thoughts are on it. So when we talk about the Landsafe program, one of the big things that I remember was you have to react. You have to get your arms out when you get that moment of no return where all right, I'm not saving this, and you have to react so that you can brace for impact. And you have that tool, and it does make you feel better because you're like, okay, when stuff goes wrong, I got some tools in my toolbox to deal with it. What do you feel about air vests in that situation?
So interesting enough, right? So air vest, and I sent you guys that article. I don't know if you got time to read it or not about the body vest, the Australian body vest guy. We have blown up vests on people. I've had falls in air vests, and we have had people roll in body vests. My feeling is this: The vest doesn't prevent you from rolling if you know how to roll. If you lift your chin up, if you look into the ground, as most catastrophic falls will show you, is what is up, eyes are up, head is impacted. Yep, instead of being in a round shape, they're looking at the ground, not away from the ground. That's not going to roll. That's not going to roll with a vest, without a vest. That is never going to roll. So that's not the air vest fault. I thought that the article about the distance between the body and then the neck separation, the head with a vest on, is interesting. But I've always been a big supporter of big neck fill with the air vest. Like I'm not going to be brand. I'm not trying to be brand, but I love the Charles Owen big air vest. I like the hit air vest with the big neck. And what that guy and the jockey was talking about was, then you're that far off the ground, so then your neck then falls further back, right? But with an air vest, that air is that void is filled with the air vest. But not all air vests, right? Some of those air vests are only coming to the base of your shoulders. So again, the body vest and the air vest have never been studied through a true study, right? They have been studied through an impact study. So like we've dropped horses on them. The body vest has been stepped on, but it's not been studied on an impact testing, right? It hasn't been done. So the only thing we were able to do was Roy from Charles Owen was kind enough to give us a bunch of canisters, and we blew vests all day long, and it was awesome. And all of the riders from that said that the vest actually helped them roll. It didn't slow them down.
And do you think that when it activates, it pops, that it can, and this is just a question because I've had it asked to me and I don't have the answer. Do you think it affects your instinct, your reaction to do this when that vest blows?
I think I don't think so. It didn't affect mine when I had my fall.
Okay.
With one, right? Like, and I had the great honor. My last fall was in front of the great Mark Todd, right? Over
right.
Big, like, so I have this great, story that goes on and on and on. Anyway, he looks over and he goes, "Did you used to ride races or something? Because I've never seen anybody roll like that."
Right.
Right. And that was in that fall was in a 0.2 all in one. Okay. So I think that it goes to, as Rick said, I'm very aware of my body. I'm very aware of where the horse is. I mean, I've had horses laying on me and thinking about when they get up, is my foot still in the stirrup, right? Like, did that stirrup? And I've seen people lay on the ground and just wonder, like, just lay there, not thinking, like, or not scurrying, and the horse rolls over on top of them when they could have scurried their feet and got away from it. There's so much that is just, I always say at our clinics, I'm like, don't be a victim in the fall, right? Don't be a victim, be proactive, right? Even if it is just sticking your arm out, even if it is just getting your chin to your chest, do something to help prevent catastrophic injury. I'm not saying you're going to always, right? But at least be educated in what you should do, and whether you can or can't do it. That's a little bit, that a little bit, then it comes to the gods, right? Like, there are times that we are not going to be able to do anything. But there are also enough times where if you would have just stuck your arm out, you would have been fine. If you would have just got your chin to your chest, looked away from that impact, it would have been fine, or not catastrophic.
Right. So, on the air vests, I stopped wearing them. I wear my race vest. And the reason I stopped wearing the air vest is I've had too many green horses that you might get catapulted forward, and even the pull pops it before, I save myself before I come off, and by the time at the end of it pops. So I'm back in the saddle all blown up. It's happened 3 times, because I tend to save myself and get back on, and so it just gets in my way. I'm not saying
maybe you need to give up.
No, I'm not going to hit the ground. Did you see?
Stop riding babies.
Did you see the million views of me hanging on and not letting go? But my point on that is, Danny, give me your insight. I don't understand when people just wear air vests. A lot of hunter riders, a lot of jumper riders, they go out in the ring just with air vests. And I've been to a lot of hunter jumper shows. We go a lot. And what I tend to find, especially in the pony ring, is kids fall off, the pop goes and the pony goes crazy. So, you know, what are your thoughts on just air vest versus the vest and the air vest on top?
You know, I had a really interesting conversation with Danielle Santos from Charles Owen, and I'm gonna follow her lead with this. I think safety is a personal choice, right? And I hate to say that, right? I would love to say you should wear a body vest, you should wear an air vest, you should wear, you know, a trauma void or MIPS helmet, right? But so far, really, what we've learned about all those things is they're not really the answer, right? None of those things are the answer.
Right.
So I think when things don't work out, I think we tend to blame that. I think, you know, I think that we have to be careful and sort of look, an air vest is better than no vest, but that might not be true with this data that's just come out from the Australian racing guy. I think that data, I think, is very big. I think that's huge. I think that is very upsetting. I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about the body vest, but you know, it started, I think it was 1987 in the 87 or 88 in the jocks room at Richmond when they came in with the ransom vest, which is what Johnny Frankham's mother made for him.
Right.
It was this thick, right? And it had a little piece of, I mean, the thinnest piece of plastic that ran down your spine, right? And so what research was done on, what scientific research was done on that? And so I think now we're in a bad spot, a little bit of playing catch up on what actually is better, right? Like, is a body vest even better than no vest? And that was the point of that article. Like, he's like, right. No, these body vests have caused more catastrophic injury than that. I personally think the change in society has changed that outcome more than anything else. I think we've lost phys ed in schools. We've lost a rough and tumble attitude. And I'm not saying bullying is right, but pushing and fights on the playground and that kind of stuff is all gone away. And now we're left in this bubble world until the bubbles pops. And I think the education thing is the biggest missing link. We don't ride bad ponies. I mean, how many, John, you're a perfect example for this. How many of your kids possibly have gone through the levels and gotten there pretty good on pretty good horses that haven't really ever had maybe more than 3 or 4 falls in a go, right?
Like kids that have gone up the levels and done it, but haven't had that experience?
Yeah.
More now than there used to be. I would say like probably now of the people who come through my program and go up the levels, I bet that well over 75, 80% of them have never had.
Yeah, never even popped out of the track. I mean, they're not riding dirty little ponies, right?
I mean, I will say this. Here's the one thing: the special ones who've really gone on and done some great things, they actually have had that stuff happen.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that again is a difference, right? It's a difference of the process of how we get to where we are. And so you look and you say, well, look, I had on a helmet, I had on a body vest, I had on, an air vest, right? I had on the safety stirrups and I still got hurt. Yeah, because you just felt like you had all that stuff on and it was going to save you.
Right.
That stuff's not going to save you. That stuff's there in case the other things don't work, right? If you don't get away from that horse and that horse lands on you or that horse steps on you, that body vest is supposed to help you, right?
That's why you gotta, when you're a kid, you gotta ride bad ponies and jump out of crabapple trees on them and gallop across the field and do all the stuff that you're not allowed to do nowadays.
Right. I mean, and that I think is a very, very, like everybody says, what do you think it is? I think it's the change in society.
I agree.
Right?
That's why I just got my kid back from boxing.
Yeah. Right. I think that's a great thing. The people ask me, what should I do? We're like, take martial arts. I'm like, play freaking racquetball. Play something that speeds up your hand-eye coordination.
Totally.
Right.
Okay. So seriously now, because I'm running us way over time, but I am quite serious about it. When you get your schedule, have Kelly get a hold of me because I would love to have you guys back at the farm here and host you for the Landsafe clinic because I need to get refreshed and I've got a handful of students that need it, and I know there's enough people in Ocala that need it. So
there's a few horse people in Ocala now.
Yeah. So let's get it done. We can go into my indoor. We'll get Rick over. He can show us his gymnastic moves.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
Rick and Kelly can go side by side, do some double front handsprings down the mats. They'll break it out old school.
That'd be fun. You could do like, Rick, you could do like with a ribbon thing. In the gymnastics thing.
I know you like ribbons, John, but I'm not a ribbon guy.
If he does the ribbon thing, I'll do the whole clinic. We'll do it for charity.
Done. Rick, I'm buying you the ribbons.
All right. Danny, thanks for joining us from the Keys. I appreciate it. It's been great having you on. And one more thing before we leave, thanks for all your help with the walrus bit and the ring bit. It's helped a lot. Briggs has reached out to a lot of great people that you introduced him to. He has a great relationship with them now. And thank you very much. That was very kind of you.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Anytime I can help stir the pot with the FBI, I'm in.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, dude. All right. Listen, Danny, thank you. Rick, good job tonight, man. You were awesome. Yeah. And we will be back, in 2 weeks? And it's a mystery who's going to be next on the John and Rick Show. We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest eventer of all time.
Good news for the sport.